Shabbat Shalom. The story is told of a certain young man, we'll call him Menachem, realized it was Mother's Day. So he picked up the phone to call his mom, and sure enough, she picks up the phone and she says, "Menachem, is that you?" "Yes, Mom, happy Mother's Day, how are you doing?" The mother says, "Not so good, Menachem. I'm feeling very weak today." "Weak? Why are you feeling so weak, Mom? What's going on?" "Well," his mother said, "I haven't eaten in 23 days. Menachem, you haven't eaten in Menachem says to his mom, "You haven't eaten in 23 days, Mom? What's going on?" Well, the mom said, "I didn't want food in my mouth. Should you finally call me?" Happy Mother's Day. Here we are. The world is on fire. It's a scary time and a scary place. So this Shabbat, with your permission, I'd like to focus on the greatest symbol of hope that we have, the Jewish mother. Because throughout Jewish history, though we may laugh and we may joke about the intensity of a mother's love for her child, throughout Jewish history, the mother's love has been the symbol of hope for the Jewish people. And I might argue that even more than just being symbols of hope, mothers have been, throughout Jewish history, incredible agents of change and betterment of our people and the world. Certainly as we think back to our matriarchs, to Sarah, to Rebecca, to Rachel and Leah, we think not only about the strength of their faith, but their willingness to act on behalf of their children and to strengthen the Jewish people. Of course, the common motif in Genesis is the challenges that our patriarchs and matriarchs had in getting pregnant, and the lengths and especially the depth of faith that the women had in order to bring about the perpetuation of the covenant and the creation of the Jewish people. Then we come into Sefer Shemot, we come into the book of Exodus. And we know that Exodus begins right away with the idea of the enslavement of the Jewish people. What did Pharaoh most fear? That because of the size of our people, we were actually going to grow into an army. So as a result, what did Pharaoh decree? He decreed the death of all of the Jewish male babies. Well, Shifra and Puah, these two Hebrew helpmates in terms of delivering the babies. I'm blanking on the word all of a sudden. Midwives, thank you. These two midwives stepped forward in order to organize a way for the Jewish women to give birth to their children and have the babies be protected. So where did Shifra and Puah, who our rabbis come to teach us, were actually Yocheved and Miriam, Moses' mother and sister, where did they usher the women off to deliver their babies? Apple tree groves. They delivered the babies amidst the apple trees. And how do we remember this every year for those of us in Ashkenazi homes? The charoset we make is made with apples. And we remember the strength of these women in making sure that the Jewish women could still deliver their babies and the babies could survive. And if we even go back another step there, how were the babies even conceived to begin with? Because the Midrash tells us that as soon as Pharaoh made the decree, some time from now we're going to kill all of the Jewish babies, the Jewish baby boys, the men gave up. The Jewish men gave up and said, "You know what? We should all go home and divorce our wives so that no more Jewish babies will be conceived." That would, of course, mean the death of the Jewish people. So upon hearing this, what did the Jewish women do? They went home, they took out their mirrors, they made themselves beautiful, and thereby ensured that the men didn't want to divorce them, and went on to continue the Jewish species, the Jewish race. Our rabbis come to tell us that it was those mirrors that the women used to beautify themselves in order to perpetuate the Jewish people. It was those mirrors that our ancestors used to build the Mishkan, to build the tabernacle in the wilderness. Because it was through their hope, through their commitment, through their faith, that the Jewish people survived. And therefore, it only made sense that to construct the Mishkan, this central location of our relationship to God, should be used with those holy objects that ensured the continuity of the Jewish people. And so because of Shifra and Puah, because of the strength of the Jewish women, because of the incredible hope that they had in their hearts for a better future, our rabbis come to teach that the Jewish people were redeemed on account of righteous women. The Jewish people were redeemed on account of righteous women. So while in America, Mother's Day may come once a year, as Jews, Mother's Day should be every year, every day of every year. So how is it that we honor our moms? Of course, those of us who are blessed to have living moms, whenever they come into the room, you're supposed to rise in their place. You're supposed to not sit in their seats. And in this way, we honor our parents. And we know the Torah comes to tell us, honor your father and your mother, and revere your mother and your father. These are just a couple of the ways that we honor and revere our parents. Here's another way by which we might honor and revere our parents, and especially our moms, on Mother's Day. Thanks, Mom. Thank you for all of your selfless love. Thank you for all that you've given to my brother David and to me and to our family and now to our own kids. We are grateful. Truly selfless love. Thanks, Mom. And of course, we can order her favorite food for dinner. And our rabbis, too, ask the question, how can we honor their parents when they're no longer with us in person? Whenever we speak of our parents who are no longer here in person, we say, a blessed memory. Right? We remember our mom, a blessed memory. Our dad, a blessed memory. We visit their graves at the cemetery and say prayers over them, fill them in on our lives. And of course, we can also make tzedakah donations in memory of our parents who are no longer here. All of these ways by which we honor and revere our parents and especially our moms. And there's probably one more great act that we can do to honor and to revere our own parents. That's to find spouses with whom to have children and grandchildren and to continue the legacy of the Jewish people. And if we ourselves don't have spouses to have children and grandchildren, we can honor the legacy through nieces and nephews. Or we can adopt children. And in this way, we can perpetuate the Jewish people. We can perpetuate the names of our mothers and our fathers who came before us. In my case, you can marry a woman who becomes an excellent mom, just like my own mom. Thanks, Rebecca, for being such an amazing mom to our boys. Through all these ways and more, we celebrate our parents, we celebrate our moms on this Mother's Day. And I think there's one more step, this Shabbat in particular, that we take to celebrate Mother's Day this weekend. The world is on fire. It's a scary place. But if we can, with all of our strength and with all of our might, find within our hearts the hope that our ancestors had to keep the Jewish people going, the hope that our moms had and symbolized by bringing new life into this world, then we can truly bring honor to our parents in hoping for a better tomorrow and working to make sure that better tomorrow comes. This Shabbat, immediately before Mother's Day, I give incredible honor to all of the mothers who are in this room, to all of the mothers who gave life to those of us who are in this room. May we honor your legacy by working for the betterment of the Jewish people, by strengthening the Jewish future, and by keeping hope in our hearts. Keeping hope in our hearts. Adonai ozi amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom. May God grant us the strength to be hopeful and may God bless us all with peace. Shabbat Shalom, and happy Mother's Day.